Thank you once again, and thank you to all the faculty presenters throughout the day. Thank you for spending an entire day with us and sticking through the afternoon. Now, wanted to introduce Dan Linzer, the president and CEO of Research Corporation for Science Advancements, to close out our day.
Sure. Just a few thank yous to all of you for hanging in there. This was the idea of for this day from UCSD to bring us together to talk about the impact of foundation support for faculty and early stage work in the sciences. And it was a real privilege for us to be able to hear so many great presentations across multiple fields in the physical sciences. So thanks to Sandy and Ashley and John and others for putting on the day. To our foundation partners for coming and spending it with us, because the support of Keck and Moore and Kavli and others, along with Research Corp, has made this possible. At the end, with just us here, it has the feel of a site visit rather than fun exploration of science. Um, but I was struck in this last session. All the talks are great, but Alexis's talk, where she hadn't actually done any of the work yet, with everyone else presenting, you can see, well, it was obvious to support that because look what came out of it. With hers, she presented what she was going to do, but with no results because they haven't even started yet. And so there you could look at it and say, well, would I have bet on that? In 2 years, is it going to lead to anything? And I don't know. It might not, but it was the kind of thing where um, those of us who heard it, you're more actively involved in thinking, okay, is that going to take off or not? When I look at the history of the support that Research Corp in particular has made here. Um, and Sandy mentioned some of this at the beginning, but the first award was in 1961. It was a department award for geophysics. So it goes back to the first year of UCSD. And you heard about the department award at University of San Diego, which was a department award in chemistry from 2008 to 2015, and why Richard came to San Diego every year to look at that. But also a number of individual awards. The first individual award at UCSD was to a chemist by the name of George Handler. I don't know if that name means anything here. It was for color and color change in metal iodides. That was in 1965, so a few years ago. The first individual award at University of San Diego was a little more recent. It was 1978 to Lewis Handler for gas exchanges across isolated perfused crab gills. So who knew? But it's fun to go back and look at the history of support. Uh, but really, uh, and a number of the speakers mentioned this. What we care about is doing interesting science, is doing asking questions that you find curious, and why does the world work that way, and how do we explore it? And I think we're joined by all of our other foundations in recognizing that pursuing that curiosity driven menu of questions is in the long term what's the best approach to understanding the world, and then taking advantage of that understanding to do things that help the world survive all the things that we don't do particularly well. And time and again today, when people were talking about their early work and where it might lead, it's like, who knows where it's going to lead, but it's going to give us interesting and important insights that sometime in the future will turn into really new benefits. And again, when Alexis was talking about CRISPR and using that to do these experiments, um, I joined a lab as a postdoc. The faculty member had won the Nobel Prize the year before for the original discovery and use of restriction enzymes. But CRISPR restriction enzymes are bacterial defense mechanisms. Who thought that that would be the birth of the biotechnology industry with restriction enzymes, with bacterial plasmids, with the chemistry of nucleotides being put together, and suddenly we could create defined oligos. None of that was intended to lead to genetic engineering or to producing drugs and vats of yeast or bacteria. It was because people found these phenomena really bizarre and wanted to understand them. And that's why I think for those of us here throughout the day, it's a real celebration of faculty driven, curiosity driven research that is fun to listen to, and I'm confident is the best path forward for all of us, for the world. And it was our honor to celebrate that with you. So thank you.